Chemistry DSP channel. Today I'll be explaining about the 5 different ways of classifying proteins. Proteins are polymers of amino acids which are linked together through peptide bonds. So these proteins are unbranched polymers and many proteins consist of a single polypeptide chain known as oligomeric or multimeric protein having more than one polypeptide chain. These proteins on hydrolysis will yield a mixture of free amino acids. So in the classification of proteins, there are many ways to classify these proteins. Today I am going to explain the 5 different ways involved in the classification of proteins. Okay, so these proteins are classified based on the shape and size. They are classified based on the composition and solubility. They can be classified based on the functions, and the protein can be classified based on their nutritional value. It can be classified based on the source of protein from which it is obtained. Okay, so these are the 5 different ways in classification of proteins. So these are the 5 ways. Okay, based on the shape and size, it can be classified into globular proteins and fibrous proteins. Composition and solubility, it can be classified again into simple proteins, conjugated proteins, derived proteins, and based on their functions, it can be classified into structural, catalytic, hormonal, transport, storage, defense, nucleoprotein, blood clotting proteins, carrier protein, signal transduction protein, buffer protein, contractile protein, and antifreeze proteins. And based on the nutritional value, it can be classified as complete protein, partially complete protein, and incomplete protein. Based on the sources, these proteins can be classified into based on the plant sources, then animal source protein. Okay, these are the 5 methods of classification in proteins. So the first way classification includes, it's based on the shape and size. Okay, so this is divided into globular proteins and fibrous proteins. So this globular proteins have the axial ratio of length as to width less than 10. Okay, so these plasma globulins, fibrinogen, albumin, myoglobin, hemoglobin, etc., insulin, all these are called globular proteins. These polypeptide chains in the globular proteins are tightly folded and packed into compact spherical or oval shape. Okay. Whereas in the case of fibrous proteins, it includes examples like collagen, elastin, keratin, and fibrinogen. The axial ratio of length is to width will be more than 10. Whereas in the case of globular proteins, the actual ratio of length and width will be less than 10. For fibrous protein, it will be more than 10. Okay. So this polypeptide chains of fibrous proteins will extend along a longitudinal axis, and it will have a long and a needle shaped structure. Okay, ribbon like structure. These are mainly of animal origin and are insoluble in common solvents like water, dilute acids, alkali, salt, etc. And most of these proteins will serve a structural or protective role. Okay, so when you see the differences between these globular and fibrous proteins, these globular proteins will be spherical or oval in shape. They will help in the transport and are catalytic in function. These globular proteins are soluble in water. They are more sensitive to heat and pH, has irregular amino acid sequence and of low molecular weight. Whereas fibrous proteins are long and narrow in shape. They provide support and shape, okay, structural support and shape to the protein. They are insoluble in water, less sensitive to changes in heat and pH, has repetitive amino acid sequence and high molecular weight. Okay, uh, These fibrous proteins can be stretched. Okay, they have the tendency to stretch. That is, if stretched for a long time, their basic length will increase and equals the stretched length. But if the tension of the two sides of the fibril is relaxed, they creep to their shorter and shorter length. Okay. Uh, for example, creeps to a smaller size if there is no tension on the scar. On the contrary, if the scar region is of high tension, the scar will become larger and larger, as happens in the skin of a person gradually becoming obese. Okay, so like how the skin of a person stretches. During obesity, you can see the skin of that obese person will be stretched. That is mainly due to the stretch of this fibrous proteins. Okay, so these examples of this fibrous proteins will include collagens mainly. Collagens and elastin, keratin and fibrion. All these are included under the category of fibrous proteins. So these keratin sources the examples for this keratin, all these will be included. Okay, hoops, horns and feathers, hair, etc. All these are keratin sources. Then second way of classification of proteins will be based on the composition and solubility. They are classified into simple proteins, conjugated proteins and derived proteins. So under simple proteins you have got the globular proteins. Mainly the globular proteins are albumins, globulins, protamins, prolamin, then histones and gluteins. All these comes under simple proteins. Okay, this simple proteins is again, it's a mixture of globular protein and fibrous protein only. So this scleroproteins or the fibrous proteins are collagen, elastin, fibrion and keratin. All these comes under this simple protein. Okay, so here albumin. So these albumin simple proteins are readily soluble in water and can be coagulated by heat. Okay, then globulins, these are insoluble in water. Okay, these are insoluble in water but easily soluble in diluted acids. These globulins are heat coagulable. Okay, they can also be coagulated with heat. Then protamins, these are strongly basic proteins soluble in water, dilute ammonia, water, acids and alkalis. These protamins are rich in basic amino acids like arginine and lysine, but they don't contain cysteine, tryptophan and tyrosine. Okay, they are not heat coagulable. Okay, the protamins isoelectric pH will be 7.4. So when mixed with insulin, these protamins will increase the duration of insulin action. Then histones, these are highly basic proteins soluble in water, dilute acids, alkalis, but insoluble in dilute ammonia. Similar to protamine, these histones are also rich in basic amino acid, arginine and histidine. These are not readily coagulated by heat. Okay. These histones like protamines are found in salt combination with nucleic acids. In eukaryotic cells, nuclear DNA is tightly packed with the help of histones to form chromatin in nucleus. Okay. Then gluteins. These are plant proteins easily soluble in dilute acids and alkalis but insoluble in water. Gluteins are heat coagulable. Okay, this glutenin is obtained from wheat. Originin is from rice or other examples of gluteins. Okay, prolamins. These are soluble in 70 to 80% of alcohol but are insoluble in water. Okay, and absolute alcohol. So they are soluble only in ethanol. These prolamins are rich in proline but they are deficient in lysine. Okay, prolamins are plant proteins which are mainly present in the cereals. Gliadin from wheat, zeon from maize, hordein from barley, and Sicalin from rye, and Avenin from oats are examples for prolamins. Okay, then the under the simple proteins itself has got is been classified as globular proteins and fibrous proteins. So this fibrous proteins here, it includes all the scleroproteins uh, like keratin, collagen, elastin, spongin and fibrion. So these collagens or fibrous proteins present in the connective tissues like bones, cartilage, teeth, etc. Then this collagen is rich in proline, hydroxyproline, lysine and hydroxyl lysine. This collagen is deficient in essential amino acid tryptophan. Okay. So collagens yield gelatin on strong boiling with acid and water. Gelatin lacks tryptophan. Okay. Then elastin. These proteins are present in yellow elastic fibrous tissues of the tendons, blood vessels, uterine muscles, skin, bladder and elastic ligaments. Okay. Elastins are digested by the enzyme elastase in small intestine. Then keratin. These proteins are present in the exoskeletal structures like the hair, nail, hooves, horns, claws, etc. of animals. Human hair and nails contains alpha keratin rich in cysteine. Beta keratins are present in silk, spider web and are deficient in cysteine. Okay, these are some examples of some of the fibrous proteins and globular proteins which are included under the category of simple proteins. Okay, so simple proteins includes albumin, globulin, prolamine, protamine, histone, gluteins, collagen, elastin, keratin, fibrion, etc. Okay, all this comes under the category of simple proteins. Then conjugated proteins. So based on the composition and solubility, proteins are classified into conjugated proteins, simple proteins, conjugated proteins and derived proteins. So conjugated proteins includes, this term conjugated protein means any protein which is conjugated with some non-protein moiety. Okay. This non-protein moiety may be a carbohydrate, lipid, nucleic acid or uh, inorganic substance, etc. Okay, metal ions. So the protein and the non-protein moiety of a conjugated protein is termed as, the protein moiety will be called as apoprotein and the non-protein moiety will be called as prosthetic group. Okay. So on hydrolysis, these conjugated proteins will yield amino acid and a non-protein moiety. So under conjugated proteins you have glycoprotein, metalloprotein, chromoprotein, nucleoproteins, lipoproteins and phosphoproteins. So this glycoproteins, the term glycoprotein means it's a combination of simple protein plus carbohydrate. Okay, the carbohydrate will be of less than 4%. Plasma, albumin, globulins, O-albumin, blood group substances, etc. will be examples for this glycoproteins. This plasma, albumin and globulins will contain less than 1% and up to 4% of carbohydrates. And the carbohydrate moiety is generally attached much more strongly to protein moiety in glycoprotein when compared to mucoproteins. Then metalloproteins. So any component which is combined with, any protein which is combined with a metal atom is said to be a metalloprotein. These metals will be strongly bound with these proteins. So mainly the heavy metals like mercury, silver, copper, zinc will strongly bind with these proteins like collagen, albumin, casein through SH bonds present in their side chains. Some other proteins also have strong binding affinities for iron group, iron cedrophilin and copper ceruloplasmin. Okay, these proteins ceruloplasmin and cedrophilin will have affinity towards ceruloplasmin will have affinity towards copper and cedrophilin will have affinity towards iron. Okay, these are strong examples for strongly bound metals with proteins. Okay, ceruloplasmin and cedrophilin. Then some of the metals will be weakly bound with these proteins. Mainly the calcium will be included in this category. It will bind with the protein which has the electron charge. Okay. Then metals which do not couple with proteins, sodium and potassium will belong to this group. These form compounds with nucleic acids due to electrostatic bonds present in it. Okay. Then chromoproteins. So these are proteins coupled with a colored pigment. It's pigments like mainly the enzymes like catalase, peroxidase and flavoenzymes will be included in this category. And the colored proteins examples will be hemoglobin. It is composed of heme and globulin part. Heme is the protein part which is present in RBCs. Heme is red in color. Okay. Then myoglobin and chlorocurionin in marine worms are some of the examples of colored heme proteins. Myoglobin, hemoglobin, helicorubin, okay, and chlorochlorine. Then cytochromes, which is also the electron carrier proteins, is composed of heme as the prosthetic group and a protein moiety. These cytochromes form a component in the mitochondrial electron transport chain. Catalase and peroxidase is included under this cytochromes. Okay. Then rhodopsin, it is composed of retinal as the prosthetic group and opsin is the protein moiety. In rhodopsin, retinal plus opsin. Okay. Opsin is the protein part. It's a visual pigment present in the rod cells of retina of the eyes. Rhodopsin is purple in color, hence it's called as visual purple. Flavoproteins like FAD and FMN as prosthetic group and are yellow in color. Example, succinate dehydrogenase flavoenzyme is composed of FAD prosthetic group and the apoprotein protein moiety. FAD and FMN are coenzyme forms of vitamin B2 riboflavin which is yellow in color. So this hemoglobin, cytochromes, rhodopsin and flavoproteins, all this comes under the group called chromoproteins. Okay. So colored ones. Then a phosphoprotein. These are proteins linked with a phosphoric acid group. Okay. So the prosthetic group in phosphoprotein is phosphoric acid plus the protein moiety. Then casein of milk and egg yolk are best examples for this phosphoproteins. Okay. Lipoproteins are composed of apoproteins and lipids as the prosthetic group. On the basis of their density, lipoproteins have been subclassified into chylomicrons, VLDL, LDL and HDL. Okay, these proteins, lipoproteins form complexes with lipids like cephalin, lecithin, cholesterol. Hence it's called lipoprotein. They are soluble in water but insoluble in organic solvents. Lipovitellin from egg yolk, lipoproteins of blood are examples for this lipoproteins. Then nucleoproteins, these are compounds containing nucleic acid and protein. Protamine and histones comes under this group of nucleoproteins. They are usually salt-like compounds of proteins since the two components have opposite charges and will be bound to each other by electrostatic forces. So nucleoproteins from yeast and thymus and also viruses which may be recorded as large molecules of nucleoproteins. Nucleohistones from glandular tissues is also an example for nucleoprotein. Then okay, so this all these comes under the group called conjugated protein: glycoprotein, metalloprotein, chromoprotein, nucleoprotein, lipoprotein, metalloprotein and phosphoproteins. All this comes under the conjugated protein. It's also called as complex protein. The third type is derived proteins. Okay, so derived proteins, these are derivatives of proteins resulting from the action of heat, enzymes or any chemical agents. Okay, so due to heat, the native protein will be converted into the denatured and coagulated proteins. That is comes under the category of primary derived proteins. Okay, when the native protein is degraded or denatured and form coagulated protein, it comes under the category of primary derived protein. So here the protein will have lost their three-dimensional structures and are biologically non-functional, okay, inactive due to the action of heat, UV rays, X-rays, organic solvents. So due to the denaturating agents like physical and chemical agents, the protein will be denatured and gets coagulated. Okay, the primary derived protein is produced from the native protein without the breakdown of peptide bonds. So in the primary derived protein, the peptide bond will be retained. The primary structure will be retained, but it will lose all these secondary, tertiary, and quaternary structures. Okay. So proteins, then metaproteins. Okay. So from the native protein, we get proteins and metaproteins. These proteins and metaproteins will be and coagulated and denatured proteins, proteins and metaproteins. All these will be categorized in the category of primary derived proteins. So the coagulated and denatured protein means, so under primary derived protein you will get three products, namely the coagulated and denatured protein. So it is obtained by the action of heat on the natural proteins, by the action of either physical or chemical agents. Okay, you get this coagulated or denatured protein. Then proteins is an insoluble product produced with the help of enzymes or very dilute acids on the native proteins. So if you add any dilute acid or enzymes in the native structure of the protein, it will be denatured. That kind of product which is obtained due to the action of dilute acid and enzyme is said to be proteins. Okay. Example for these proteins include fibrin, which is formed by the action of thrombin on fibrinogen in blood. Then metaproteins. These metaproteins are formed by the action of dilute acids and heavy metal salts like copper sulfate and mercuric sulfate, or with the help of any alkaloidal reagents like trichloroacetic acid, sulfosalicylic acid on natural proteins. Okay, so in which method, in what method, by what method it is denatured. Due to that, we can classify this derived proteins as secondary derived proteins, primary derived proteins and secondary derived proteins. So with the help of physical and chemical agent, if the native protein is denatured, means it is called as coagulated or denatured protein. With the help of enzymes and very dilute acid, we get a denatured product, means it is called as proteins. And with the help of metaproteins or by the action of dilute acid and metallic salts or alkaloidal reagents, you get metaproteins. Okay. Then secondary derived proteins includes the further degradation products of metaprotein into proteose, peptones and peptides. Okay, all these other denaturation products results in a protein called derived protein called secondary derived proteins. Okay, so derived proteins are nothing but the degradative products of native proteins. Native proteins will be denatured into proteins, metaproteins, which will be further degraded to proteose, peptones, peptides, and finally it will be converted into amino acid. Okay. Then in secondary derived proteins includes proteose, peptones, and peptides. These proteoses are the immediate hydrolytic product of the native protein, that is the metaprotein. They are insoluble in water and are heat coagulable. Peptones are derived from further hydrolysis of this proteoses. Okay, they are not heat coagulable. Peptides, these peptides are derived from further hydrolysis of this peptones. When you hydrolyze peptone, the product will be peptide. Peptides have few amino acid linked together with peptide bonds. They can be further divided into, if the amino acid is containing two amino, means it is called dipeptide, 3 means it will be called tripeptide, tetrapeptide, like that you will have so many peptides. These peptides are water soluble and are not coagulated by heat. These peptides can be precipitated using phosphotungstic acid or with the help of peptidases. Okay. So during this, the biomedical importance of this derived protein is during digestion, the action of various proteolytic enzymes like pepsin, trypsin, chymotrypsin, carboxypeptidases on these proteins, no, it will yield proteose, peptones and peptides. The denatured and coagulated proteins are more easily digested, and except the dipeptides and amino acid, all these hydrolytic products of derived proteins will give a positive test with Biuret test. Okay, for Biuret reagent, these derived proteins will give a positive test. So this is the second way of classifying proteins based on the composition and solubility as simple protein, conjugated protein and derived proteins. Next, the third method to classify protein is based on their functions. So they are classified as storage protein, catalytic protein, hormonal proteins, transport proteins, storage proteins, structural proteins, signal transduction proteins, blood clotting proteins, nucleoproteins, buffer proteins, defense proteins, contractile proteins, and carrier proteins and antifreeze proteins. Okay, so many functions. Proteins have many functions, and based on their functions they are classified into structural protein. So all the fibrous proteins like keratin, elastin, collagen, which have a structural role, will comes under this category of structural protein. Then catalytic, all the enzymes except ribozymes or protein in nature. Then contractile proteins, muscle proteins like myosin, actin, troponin, tropomyosin, all are contractile proteins. Hormone proteins, insulin, glucagon, PTH, calcitonin, TSH, TRH, all these, oxytocin, vasopressin, all are peptide hormones. Then immunoglobulins comes under the category, that is the antibodies. They provide defense against pathogens, so defense proteins. Then transport proteins, membrane bound proteins like ionic pumps, ion exchange systems, ionic channels, imports, and which helps in the transport of electrolytes like sodium, calcium, potassium, hydrogen and chloride, and metabolites, glucose and amino acids across the cell membrane. Okay, they help in the transport of these electrolytes and metabolites across the cell membrane. Then storage protein, casein, ferritin, egg albumin, glutein comes under this storage protein. Blood clotting proteins, fibrinogen, prothrombin comes under this blood clotting proteins. Histones, okay, histones and protamines falls under the category of nucleoproteins. Then buffer proteins. Hemoglobin is an important intracellular buffer in the RBCs. Plasma proteins act as extracellular fluid buffer. Okay, so buffer proteins, hemoglobin and plasma proteins falls under this group of buffer proteins. Then receptor proteins, all the receptors, membrane bound carrier proteins. Okay, adrenergic, cholinergic and GABA, insulin, glucagon receptors are comes under receptor type proteins. Signal transduction proteins, all these membrane bound proteins love G protein, adenylate cyclase, guanylate cyclase take part in signal transduction. All these receptor proteins will take part in signal transduction. Okay, so then antifreeze protein, these are found in the blood of Arctic and Antarctic fishes and prevent the plasma from freezing at about minus 70 degrees Celsius. So this anti-freeze protein will prevent the fish which is living in the Atlantic of wolfish freezing in icy sea water. So there is a protein that is called the antifreeze protein, AFP protein. This protein will help the animals, bacteria or fungi, anything which lives in the Antarctic and Arctic regions, okay, to get rid of this ice formation regions. Okay, so they have the sequence of MKSAILTGLLFV. This is the single letter abbreviation used to denote amino acid. So each any antifreeze protein will have the sequence in this order. Okay, so they help the fish, they prevent the fish or plant or bacteria or fungi from freezing at zero level. Okay, then fourth way of protein classification is based on the nutritional value. Based on the nutritional value, they are classified as complete protein. So the protein which contains all the 10 essential amino acids in right quantity and proportion are called complete protein. Examples include egg, meat, fish, chicken, cheese, fish, etc. All these are complete proteins. All the animal proteins are complete proteins, and partially complete proteins includes any one or two essential amino acids will be missing in that protein. Those protein, any protein which misses one or two amino acid alone is said to be partially complete protein. Example: glutenin of wheat, originin of rice, legumin, okay, of pulses or examples for partially complete protein. All the vegetable proteins will falls under this group. Then incomplete proteins, okay, then pulse, that is vegetables, most of the vegetables, fruits, bread, rice, grains, nuts and seeds, all these will be comes under this incomplete protein because they will be deficient in more than two essential amino acids, or completely the essential amino acids will be absent in them. Okay, they will not have all the 10 essential amino acid. Example: gelatin, which is derived from collagen, zein of corn are examples of incomplete proteins. Gelatin and zein lack essential amino acid tryptophan. Okay, so these are based on the nutritional value of the proteins. Fifth way of classifying protein is based on the sources where it is obtained. Okay, so whether it is obtained from plant source or from an animal source, it is the traditional long back traditional method of classifying protein is based on the source from which it is obtained. Plant source protein and animal source protein. This plant source proteins are lower quality proteins. Okay, low quality proteins. Why means because they lack more than two or three essential amino acid. They have low content or limiting amount of one or more essential amino acids. Okay, these plant proteins. Then animal source proteins are high quality proteins. They are derived from the animal sources such as egg, fish, meat, etc. Okay, all this fish, egg and meat are rich sources of protein. They are derived from the animals. Hence, it is classified under animal source protein. All the nuts and seeds, okay, and anything which is derived from the plant source, okay, all comes under this plant source protein. The limiting amino acid in the plant proteins mainly cereal grains and millets. Okay, millets and cereal grains will lack lysine and threonine. Rice and soybean will lack methionine. Legumes, in legumes, peas and beans, no, it will be lacking in methionine and tryptophan. Groundnuts, the lacking or limiting amino acid is methionine, lysine and threonine. Sunflower seeds will lack lysine. Green leafy vegetables will lack methionine as a limiting amino acid. Okay, so all these plant source proteins will have any one of the amino acid as a limiting amino acid, whereas this animal source will be rich in all these amino acids. Hence, they are good sources of protein. These are poor sources of protein. Okay. So these are the ways of classifying proteins. Thank you. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe and support the channel Biochemistry DSP.